Hello everybody, welcome back to Killer Film Reviews. It's been a while, hasn't it? I am so glad to be back making a video again for this channel. It has been way too long. Without further ado, let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about Transformers 1, Michael E. Bay film, Transformers 1, as I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of reboots with the newer Transformers movies here. So we have our main cast as Shia LaBeouf as Sam Witwicky, Megan Fox as Michaela Baines, Josh Duhamel as Captain Lennox, Tyrese Gibson as Sergeant Epps, Rachel Taylor as Maggie Madison, the robot, Anthony Anderson, Glenn Whitman, no, I screwed that up. Rachel Taylor, Maggie Madison is not a robot. I'm thinking of Transformers 2. John Voight as Defense Secretary Keller, John Turturro as Agent Simmons, Kevin Dunn as Ron Witwicky, Michael O'Neill as Tom Vanacek, Julie White as Judy Witwicky, and that's going to cap off our main cast here, besides our, of course, Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, and I believe Frank Welker did Megatron. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? So Transformers, of course, the time that the video was put out, it was in the middle of the Iraq War, which in our present day and age has ended. We're not going to get into how I feel about that here. So, Transformers focuses on an opening scene where you're in the Qatar desert and you see Blackout slowly coming in his helicopter form. Pretty much, he's just out there in the middle of the desert and he's searching for intel on Sector 7, which you learn if you watch the prequel to Transformers 1. But the prequel was only available in certain copies of the movie. But to wrap up that quick prequel, Bumblebee and Barricade basically run into each other. Bumblebee basically runs away from Barricade. Barricade transmits information. They need to find information on Sector 7 to Blackout, and that's what prompts Blackout to go out and visit the base in Qatar. We also go over some of this in the Nintendo Transformers 1 video game that I played a lot way back when. So, a lot of this movie is focused on action scenes, not really plot development. So we're going to get into sort of we're going to get back in the general plot details here. So, Sam basically finds out that his car, his Camaro, Bumblebee, which aggressively takes out the other cars in the used car parking lot, which is really funny as hell. It's a classic scene for the movie, I would say, in my opinion. Basically, Sam slowly figures out that something's not right with his car, and he basically he sees the car move on its own, and he goes and he follows it on his bike or whatever. Or should I say his mother's bike? He goes and follows the car, and then the car ends up going to the junkyard, pretty much where it transforms into the Transformer we know as Bumblebee. And you see this whole scene where Bumblebee is lighting up a little beacon to draw the Transformers to Earth or whatnot. So, let me get into this a little bit here. So, Sam kind of goes, makes a little police report on his phone, pretty much saying, "Oh, my car's transformed, blah, 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 blah." Eventually, the next day, he gets confronted by the police about that. He ends up getting out of it, pretty much, but the cops are very aggressive on Sam, of course, because they don't want to take any nonsense. Then eventually, Sam gets out of there and goes on the street, and he sees the car taking off again. He sees Bumblebee Camaro taking off again, and he tries to follow it, and Doesn't succeed really this time. He follows it for a little while and end up in like a garage of some sort. Then Barricade basically shows up and starts going after Sam without Sam realizing who it was. Barricade. Just kind of aggressively again tries to trap Sam pretty much, and then Barricade investigates Sam and then basically transforms after Sam asks, "What do you want?" pretty much, and then he transforms and Sam's like, "Oh no," you know, and he transforms and starts chasing after Sam. Sam eventually like runs into Michaela. Michaela's on a little moped and they kind of collide a little bit. And then basically you get the iconic chase scene once Sam and Michaela get in there. You get the rock music, you know, just... Obviously I can't play the exact track because, you know, copyright law and all that. That's why you don't see me showing too much. That's why you don't see me showing like the actual clips or screenshots of movies in my reviews, because I just don't want to take the chance that copyright laws are going to change and then suddenly you can't use copyright clips inside your content. You know, there's streamers out there, I'll keep this brief, like Pokimane, that'll sit there and stream entire TV shows and movies. Also other Twitch content creators, I just can't seem to remember their names at the moment, stream full copyrighted works, and they're really putting us, all of us content creators on YouTube, at risk of getting fair use changed. Honestly, that's why I'm trying to not include so much, you know, from the movie itself, because I don't want to deal with that down the road. I'm trying to future-proof the videos by just focusing on a nice World of Warships gameplay while I talk about a film or two. Obviously, when things change a little bit around copyright, perhaps they'll get more lenient, then I'll perhaps throw in some more stuff here. Start throwing in screenshots and clips from the films, you kind of run a gambit pretty much, because some copyright holders don't actually sit there and review the entire video. They'll review like 10 seconds, they'll be like, "Oh, this is bad," and basically that's what I'm trying to avoid, is having that happen to me. You know, I try to just take my time with my videos just so everybody enjoys them, pretty much. But the main issue is, of course, is you've got people that'll sit there and maliciously go after other people. Some people will sit there and just post whole movies, whole anime movies on the YouTube, and then the video still stays up, and it shocks me. I guess they're able to keep it up because they have multiple accounts or something. But as for me, I'm not going to run the chance that some company starts going aggressively after whole movies online, and then they'd be like, "Oh, this is copyright content, blah blah blah, I'll take it down." I'm trying not to deal with that. I realize that some may not agree with my approach, but this is just how I'm conducting the film reviews on this channel. No others that sit there and post the copyright content and take that chance, that's up to them. As for me, I'm not taking that chance. Alright, back to the video. We've talked enough about copyright nonsense, so... yeah, that iconic chase scene between Bumblebee and Barricade goes on, and then basically Michaela and Sam basically kind of start... what am I thinking? Michaela and Sam witness the Transformers arrive, and the Transformers arrive, and there's a bunch of fireballs and explosions, typical of a Michael E. Bay film. Typically, target audience is kind of boys in their teenage years, I would say, for the film, let's be honest. It doesn't really appeal to women too much. But if you're a woman and you like it, trans and you like it, that's completely fine. That's completely fine. I'm just speaking in it. Alright. For the chase scene, Optimus meets up with Sam. They tell the story of how Sam's grandfather basically runs into Archibald Witwicky, runs into Megatron and turned on his navigation system, and then the movie progresses from there to a point. You have a little side plot with a hacker with a hacker and an analyst from the Defense Department basically come into contact with each other. They try to translate the encoded message. They end up getting in trouble. There is aggressive cop action against African Americans, which unfortunately this film has. This was at a different time in history, unfortunately. Recent history. I will just go on record saying that I don't support brutality against African Americans. I think it's wrong. There's got to be stuff that changes around that, but it's going to take time. And that could turn into a whole half an hour discussion on that. At the end of the day, any sort of aggressive action towards African Americans by cops is completely wrong. And that is that. See, that's the thing with reviewing movies like these. You have to keep into account recent times, recent trends, all that sort of stuff. So, what else? So, your iconic scenes do take place. Eventually, Sector 7 shows up at Sam's house. They go after him. They get him in the car. Optimus intervenes. Gets them to go and gets them to go some. They try to threaten Agent Simmons. Agent Simmons is not having it. Gets peed on by Bumblebee. The funny scene that still makes me laugh even to this day. Like, I think I was actually in the movie theater with my cousins when I was seeing this one way back when. Like, we saw it in theaters all together at once, I want to say. Good times. I always enjoy it now with my cousins. They're great. But back to the review here. See a bunch of epic fights between different robots later on in the movie. But yes, you basically have some characters which don't return for the next installment in this film that I was kind of surprised about, like mainly like the NSA analyst and her partner, pretty much. Let's see here. Evan Michael Richardson, I think, was the actor that played the actor opposite. Yeah, some of them return back. Just depends. I didn't want to give too much away before I've already worked on that in the Transformers 2 review. So you can expect Transformers 2 review from me down the road here. I'm not going to make a date solidly yet on it, as a lot of factors can come into play, such as my limited time to make videos and all that now. But going back to the film, I'm gonna kind of let you guys enjoy the rest of it for yourself. I don't really want to spoil the second and third acts of it too much here. I like that the movie had a lot of action scenes for its time, as I'm sure a lot of people did at that time. I think looking at it in a retrospective view, that they could have done some things differently, such as the scene where they have the cops bursting in on the African American family and the NSA analyst. I think that scene should, if they ever did a remake, they should do that differently. Like, not being so aggressive. There's one point where they're tackling the cousin in the pool, and that was a little too aggressive. Because what if he couldn't breathe? You know, all that stuff, you know? But yes, I think that looking back on it, you have to consider modern times and how times have changed a bit. But if you're looking for a general action film to watch, it's pretty decent. You just gotta keep in mind that times have changed, and that's kind of the whole thing that you gotta keep in mind with this film. Now, something that I kind of messed up on when I was kind of recording this is using the Megatron camo instead of just using General GK like that, because there was a Transformers collaboration between World Warships and Transformers at one point, actually twice now. So it may come back again. Now, they don't use Peter Cullen's voice and Frank Welker's voice for it, but still, if they come back around again, it's always a decent time. I think it was a decent collaboration that they had together, pretty much. Perhaps they'll do it again in the future, and it's wholly up to them at the end of the day. You know, overall, Transformers as a film, I'm gonna go with like a 7 out of 10 on it because nostalgia, and I enjoyed watching it when it first came out. I'm not gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because it just has so many things with it that are wrong when you consider it in modern times. But obviously, you know, it wasn't as bad as Last Night. Last Night had a lot of issues with it, but we'll save that for when I get to the Last Night review eventually. I'm going to go in order of these, obviously, because that's how I believe movies should be watched, is in order. But I think that it's nice to do a nice lighter movie for a change of pace compared to Lord of War review, which was the last one. So, I'm going to try to keep videos coming out on this channel as often as I can, but since it's channel number 5, it's not going to be given as much priority as channels 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Hope you understand that at the end of the day. This is all kind of on the spare time I have. So, if you appreciate this kind of content, don't forget to give it a like, don't forget to watch, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. Every little bit helps at the end of the day. And I hope that you enjoyed this review of Transformers 1. I should have Transformers 2 out, I would say, within a week or two of this video coming out. Otherwise, you know, stay frosty. Take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little look back on Transformers 1. And I hope that you all have a nice day. And be well. As these times can be chaotic these days. They really can be. So be well, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video, by the way. Thank you.